Hey everybody, this is going to be another garden update. Well, actually it's kind of a squash update. Some stuff's kind of happened since the last squash update that I did. And I'm going to stand right over here by these sunflowers just to kind of give you an idea how big these guys have gotten. And these are 420Homestead sunflowers, dude. And I want you to watch this video. I'm going to show you something we and you talked about your sunflowers might be crossing with wild sunflowers that grow down there in Arizona, and you want to know if they were branching or not. Well, I got some interesting stuff to talk to you about, and I'm going to show it in this video. But the squash, it's kind of been really dry the last week or two, and I came out here since the last video that I did. I was going to check the squash and see how big they got, and it looks like some of the stems have been snapped right off. Like, it's hard to explain. The main stem is just snapped and bent in half. And I figured because it was dry that maybe they got real big from the initial rain a couple weeks ago. And then because it was dry, they got top heavy and might have just snapped and fell over. But I found out what I think the culprit is. And I'm going to bring you guys in here. Now, I've been doing this. I've been partially like covering them up, kind of. If you can see that, I'll bring you in closer. I threw that dirt right there on top of that squash stem because it was broken off, hoping that it would just reroot and kind of heal itself. And squash stems are pretty versatile, you know. They deal with squash vine beetles all the time, burrowing through them. This one here doesn't have it. And I'll try to go slow so that way the camera's not moving around too much, making you guys dizzy. This one here seems to be okay. Here's another one of the squash plants. Now I'm gonna bring you to this one. This is one that I did cover up. The first one that I covered up. And I don't want to step on these cucumbers now that are getting little tendrils. And some nice thick lemon sorrel. Check this out. Chickweed, lemon sorrel, cucumbers. And this might even, no, that's some type of nightshade. Anyways, my ADD kicking in a little bit. You can see I covered that one up, that stem right there. And the stem looks alright. It's still flowering. Hasn't all started dying just yet, so a lot of the leaves, as you can see, are kind of wilted and dying. But I think that one, it might make it. It might keep growing a little bit. But check the size of that squash out. These are the last ones that I showed you guys. That flower was right here, I think. Not really sure. But yeah, I showed you that one where I broke that off. So this is the size of this one. Look at the size of this big boy right over here. A little spider right there. That's a nice size squash. I'm going to have to pick that here in a minute, because I got damn critters in my garden. What I mean by critters, there's a nice little squash right there. Bring you guys over here. And I'm going to show you the stem, what I mean by that. If you look at this one right here, you see the stems broken in half right there? This one's still growing. Looks like only half of it broke. I should probably cover that one up actually while I'm at it, just in case. I'm just throwing some dirt on there real light, so it's not getting all dried out and everything. But yeah, that's a nice squash. That one's coming home with me too. There was another one over here that I think got broken. Let's see if I can find it. No, this one didn't. But look at this. Here's some nice squash. The plants are squashing right now. Growing a bunch of squash. Look at this son of a bitch. Sorry. Got my squash. And it's got some big teeth too. Look at the size of them teeth on there. It wasn't no chipmunk or nothing. Look at that. I don't know if that's a claw or a tooth. But whatever it was, took a bite and really didn't like it too much. And probably took a couple bites. But I left this one here alone. But I'm pretty sure that's what's knocking over the squash plants and snapping them. And I don't have a fence, so I really can't complain, I guess you could say. It's just nice and wide open. And, I mean, I don't worry about stuff in here eating my garden too much. I mean, you're going to have the occasional loss. That's just nature, you know. You know, if it wasn't an animal, it's a bug or a disease or something. So you got to figure in loss. But, you know, a lot of the animals around here, they're not really too used to eating this stuff, so they're used to eating other stuff. But a raccoon or a possum, they'd probably chomp on the squash. That's it. That's the only damage I've been able to find in here. So yeah, so that's an update on the squash. And we're going to go over here and we're going to talk about these sunflowers. Now, when I got these sunflowers from 420 Homestead about 2-3 years ago, I didn't grow them the first year I had them, and I grew them last year. And I only saved like maybe 3 or 4 big heads, and I kept the seeds from them. And he told me, he said that keep an eye out because they might have crossed with a wild branching sunflower, multi-head sunflower. And kind of just gave it away. But if you look right here at this sunflower, you can see it's just a normal sunflower. The branches, look at the size of these leaves. There's my hand. I think I got some bigger ones over there somewhere. Yeah, there's some huge ones over here. But even look at these too. Look at this. Look at these sunflowers. Look at that. Oh yeah. These sunflowers are already 6.5. There's one over there. It's about 7 feet tall already. But there's nothing growing out of the stems. There's no suckers. There's no branches, side branches, nothing. And yeah, you can see. But he said just keep an eye out because they might have crossed with the wild sunflowers. And it wasn't until I grew these second generation. I kept the seeds from them last year. I grew them for the first time last year. Kept the seeds from them. And I grew a whole bunch more this year. And I'm seeing the genetics for the wild sunflower coming out, which is pretty cool. And I mean, I don't pick the branches off of these. I don't stake the sunflowers. I use the sunflowers as a stake. For example, this is a bean growing up sunflower right here. And yeah, a bunch of beetles have punched holes in the leaves and everything like that, but I mean, it's still producing lots of nice flowers. And beans are self-fertile. If you actually wanted to pollinate them, it's kind of hard because it happens before the flower opens up, I'm pretty sure. I was reading a book on cross-breeding beans and stuff, kind of making your own varieties. And oh yeah, look at these little 2 guys. There's some little beans right on there. So you don't really need to stake sunflowers. If you got healthy soil, I mean, look at the size of this one. It's taller than my hand. I got my hand up here. I mean, this one's at least 7 feet tall. And it's already getting a flower on it. And look at the other little flower heads on there. I'm sorry if it's dark, but each one of these little buds right here has got little flowers that are going to come out. So it's going to have multi-sunflower heads. It's actually going to be a new variety, really. There's a new branch. See? There's a branch coming out of sunflower. It's going to be a new variety, a natural hybrid, and which is cool because it's the first time I've grown at the new homestead, and whatever grows good this year, I'm going to save the seeds from it year after year. And these produce giant mammoth sunflowers. They're not no hybrids. They're kind of a natural hybrid with the wild ones out west. There we go. And not all the plants are expressing the multi-branching gene. You know, I've got one right here that's covered in beans that's got little branches coming out, as you can see. But the one right next to it doesn't. This big one right here does. This little one's got branches. This big one kinda, well, you can see something coming out in there. But all the other ones over here, except for that one right there in the back, are all straight sunflowers. So it's almost, it doesn't seem like it's a dominant trait to have branches. It's a recessive trait. So I don't know. I'm just going to keep the seeds from these. I still got a bunch of seeds left over that I didn't plant, that I harvested from last year. And I still have some of the original seed stock that I got from 420 almost 3 years ago. Actually, about 3 years ago, right around now. Yep. Wow, it's been a long time. So yeah, here's a cool update on the sunflowers. This variety has recessive genetics for branching. And it's obviously not stunting the growth of this, you know. The wild sunflower's got to be pretty big because the biggest sunflower I have right now has got branches on it. I don't think the heads are going to be as big as I'd like them to be, but I got a bunch more over there. And I got the original seed stock, so I could still keep growing these and keep the genetic diversity. And I think that's cool, you know. Genetic diversity is great in a garden. You need diversity. You need to have different varieties of stuff because, you know, the genetic diversity is what's going to keep a healthy garden. And what I mean by that, let's say it's a drought. Let's say we've got a drought this summer. And certain plants have different traits, different genetics that help them where they don't need as much water. They're drought resistant. So the other ones may die back, and you'd actually have some of the drought resistant variety ones. You might have a wet summer, and some plants might like the wet more than the others, some of the genetics in them. And amaranth is another plant that's got lots of genetics in it. Corn even too, unless it's been a hybrid. And if you get some heirloom corn, and even that glass gem corn is like the most genetically diverse corn you can get. It's good. You need that different stuff. You're making your own varieties that are adapted to your area. You know, different genetics like this, they'll cross. And I've got some sunflowers here that are kind of stunted, and they don't look like they're going to be as big as the other ones, so I might not keep the seeds for those. And eventually I'm going to have sunflowers that grow perfect for my garden, for my area. You know, these seeds were originally grown in the desert in Arizona. So the fact that they're thriving over here, just like they did over there, is, I mean, that's a tribute to good genetics, I guess you could say. Look at that. Enough of me rambling. Ooh, I'll show you some pumpkins. Alright, now we're going to walk back here. And I've got a lot of grass growing. A lot of the plants don't seem to mind it. I think people kind of mind weeds more than the vegetables do. I mean, look at the size of that cabbage right there. Completely enveloped in weeds, you know. Lettuce. But there's cucumbers. And these here, oh look, they're flowering. Nice. Nice. Oh, I got little cucumbers on there. These are Bushmaster cucumbers. They don't get real long and viney like regular cucumbers do. 3 feet max. So we kind of planted them closer together and didn't trellis them up or anything. And those are the same type of cucumbers. We've got the White Wonder cucumbers that are a bush variety too. That's over by the squash that I almost keep stepping on every time. And now we're to the pumpkins. And these guys are growing huge. Look at this pumpkin patch. And we've only got maybe about 5 or 6 plants, but they're already getting little pumpkins on them. Look at that. I don't know if they're going to grow nice and big, but oh yeah, look at that. Look at the male flowers in there, the long, tall ones. You can see those are male flowers. They've got a long, tall neck. And they normally grow in the joints and base. And then this is a real short one right here, and it's normally got a little fruit right on the back end of it, and that's a female flower. Yeah, these guys are getting big already. And if you look out, you can kind of see that part of the grass was cut. Actually, the neighbor was up here cutting the edge, and he asked me if I'd like him to cut part of mine up front. I said, sure, why not? So I've got some nice big bales of hay right there, little one there, and I got another big one there behind the tree. So yeah, there's another quick garden update. It was kind of like an update to the squash update. And I wanted to show you guys the sunflowers. Basically, I wanted to tell 420 about exactly like what he told me 3 years ago. And I didn't see any of the branching in the sunflowers last summer. Of course, I only grew like 5 or 6 of them. And I didn't get any branches. They're just straight up and down. And once I grew these this year, from the seeds I grew last year, I saved the seeds from the ones I grew last year, I'm starting to see the branches, which is pretty cool. I'm curious to see what the flowers are going to look like and what the seeds are going to look like and all that stuff. Which seeds am I going to keep? You know, those are cool gardening questions to sit and ponder on a nice cloudy, rainy day. So, thanks for watching, guys. I'll keep you all posted on some more stuff, and I'm going to do some videos on the Galapagos Island tomatoes that I haven't grown in 2 years that I've got in the garden over here. And they're doing some crazy stuff. I'll keep you guys posted. Stay tuned for that. So, thanks for watching. Take care now.